That's how it all began. The story of a woman who had everything, a broken bar, and lost it all in a single night. The story of a man who had nothing, a broken bar, but gave her everything she'd forgotten she deserved. Ava Reynolds was once a name that echoed through every boardroom in the country. At 32, she was the youngest CEO of Ray Tech Industries, a tech empire built from her own brilliance and sleepless years of dedication. Her company's products powered half the city's infrastructure. She was fierce, sharp, and untouchable until fate hit harder than any competitor ever could. One rainy night, a car crash changed everything. Ava woke up in a hospital bed to the sterile smell of disinfectant and the weight of a truth she couldn't move away from. She was paralyzed from the waist down. Her world shattered. Her phone stopped ringing. Her so-called friends and colleagues vanished behind polite messages and excuses. Even her fiancé told a copyright ad, a man who once swore he'd never leave couldn't handle the burden. He broke off the engagement 2 weeks after her discharge. Ava's days turned gray. She threw herself into work from her wheelchair, masking her pain behind screens and video calls. But her reflection, a woman with hollow eyes and fading confidence, haunted her every night. One day, her best friend Maya decided enough was enough. "You need to live again, Ava," she said, "not just exist. I'm setting you up on a blind date." Ava laughed bitterly. A blind date? With what? Pity. But Maya didn't take no for an answer. "Just dinner, one evening. You don't have to fall in love, just let someone remind you the world isn't as cruel as you think." Reluctantly, Ava agreed. She chose a small Italian restaurant, discreet and quiet. She even wore her favorite navy blue dress, though she hesitated for minutes in front of the mirror before rolling out the door. The date was supposed to be with a finance consultant named Ethan, but as the minutes passed and no one showed up, Ava's patience thinned. She sighed, called for the bill, and tried to will herself toward the exit, only to find her wheelchair suddenly locking up halfway. Great. Even her chair had decided to give up on her. As she tried to fix it, a man approached from a nearby table, wiping grease from his hands with the napkin. He wasn't dressed like anyone she'd expect to find in this fancy restaurant. Just jeans, a faded gray t-shirt, and boots that had seen better days. "Need a hand?" he asked, his voice deep but kind. "I'm fine," Ava snapped, embarrassed. He crouched anyway, studying the jammed wheel. Looks like your brake lever's stuck. Mind if I take a look? I'm a mechanic." Ava hesitated. Mechanic? What was he even doing here? But before she could object, he gently adjusted the lever and twisted something underneath. With a small click, the wheel turned freely again. "There," he said with a grin. "Good as new." For the first time in months, Ava smiled, a small, hesitant smile that felt strange and warm all at once. Turns out, the man's name was Liam Carter. He wasn't her blind date. He was at the restaurant fixing the owner's delivery van and had stopped for coffee before heading out. When he saw her struggling, he couldn't just walk away. They ended up talking for hours. Liam didn't treat her like she was fragile or broken. He didn't avoid looking at her wheelchair or speak in that careful, pitying tone people used when they didn't know what to say. He just talked to her about tensions, dreams, and the way life sometimes wrecked things just to rebuild them stronger. Ava found herself laughing, actually laughing, for the first time since the accident. When the evening ended, he stood by her car and said simply, "You ever need help with that chair again? I'm around the corner at Carter's garage." She nodded, pretending to be casual, but something about his words lingered long after she got home. Weeks passed, and Ava found reasons, silly, unnecessary reasons, to visit the garage. A squeaky wheel, a loose bolt, once, even just to check her tire pressure. Each time, Liam greeted her with that same easy smile, covered in engine grease, music playing softly in the background. They talked about everything, from childhood dreams to fears of being less than enough. One day, she asked him, "Why do you do what you do? You could have gone to college, done something bigger." He shrugged. "Because fixing things makes sense to me. People break stuff, but machines, broken bar machines, are honest. You put in effort, they respond. You treat them right, they run. It's simple." Ava looked down at her hands and whispered, "I wish people were that simple." Liam looked at her, then really looked, and said, "Maybe they are. Maybe they just need someone patient enough to fix what others gave up on." That moment changed everything. Over the next few months, Liam became her anchor. He taught her how to repair small machines, reminding her how much power she still had in her hands. And in return, she helped him design an app for his business, giving his small garage a digital presence that made it thrive. It wasn't just friendship, it was healing. Piece by piece, laughter by laughter, Ava started to live again. One evening, as they sat outside the garage watching the sunset, Liam turned to her. "You know, a broken bar that night, when I saw you struggling, I thought, hey, here's a woman who's stronger than half the people walking around on two legs." Ava blinked back tears. "You don't have to say that." "I'm not saying it because I have to," he replied softly. "I'm saying it because it's true." For the first time since her accident, Ava didn't look away. She reached for his hand and for once, she didn't feel broken. Months later, Raytech Industries launched a new division, Raymotion, a project designing advanced, affordable wheelchairs for people with disabilities. And at the unveiling ceremony, the crowd applauded as the CEO rolled up to the stage, a broken bar with Liam standing proudly by her side. Ava smiled, her voice steady as she spoke into the microphone. "Sometimes, we think our lives are over when something breaks, but maybe, just maybe, broken bar, that's when the right person walks in, not to fix you, but to remind you that you were never broken to begin with." And that's how a blind date disaster became the best mistake of her life. Because the mechanic didn't just fix her wheelchair or broken bar, he helped her remember how to smile again. Would you like me to create a YouTube-ready version of the story, with pacing, scene timing, and voice-over script for 100-minute narration flow? It'll read naturally for storytelling videos.